All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining this morning. Today we're going to be talking about how you can use Intellias Payroll Automation to simplify your payroll processing. I'll be turning it over to Chad Mitchell shortly to start the presentation and demo. But first, I'd like to give you just a little bit of a background about Intellias. We will do Q&A at the end, but pop your questions in along the way and we can look through all of those and answer them at the end of the presentation. So first up, a little bit about us. We were established back in 1999. Chad started the company based on creating software solutions like payroll automation to address common needs within the Infor application. Since then, we started a services team and have grown into a full alliance partner, certified in both Infor applications as well as Amazon Web Services. You can see a listing here of all the consulting services we provide, but really we have specialization in our technical team that's based here in Chicago, as well as an excellent functional team that can help you with the business processes and really making the most of your system. Our software offerings include payroll automation, which you'll see today, expense management and time management, which we will be doing presentations on in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. With that, Chad, I think I'll turn it over to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Chandra. All right, welcome everyone. Again, we're going to talk about payroll automation. Our terminology of payroll automation, we go back and forth with what we call job automation. And job automation is kind of the parent application. Payroll automation is just it's a specialized type of job automation to process payrolls. And so what we've done over the we developed a product back in 2003, and it's been going through an evolution ever since. But it is a bolt-on software product, both for the on-prem S3 Lawson product, and then also for Lawson's or Infor's new CloudSuite GHR payroll. And what it's doing, it's basically simplifying your entire job processing, your entire payroll processing by basically submitting all the jobs for you. It basically adds all the parameters, submits the jobs, run the jobs, and then it just displays on one screen, your complete payroll. You can basically run all of them, all the jobs sequentially, and it's going to deliver your payroll basically timely and accurately every time. It's going to eliminate all those mistakes that could happen. It goes through and adds and submits and runs all these unique jobs to complete the payroll. You can watch the progress of it as it's going through. And also you can build unlimited automations or unlimited payroll automations to service maybe your off cycles, maybe your manual runs. If you have a lot of different biweeklies, if you're servicing a lot of process levels, running different payrolls for different process levels, it can do all of those things. So why do our clients love this product? And it's simple and so easy to use, very self-evident. We've had stories of payroll processors being out due to sickness, and the CFO actually runs the payroll for the entire company. So that's how easy it is to run. You can reduce costs in your organization. No more overhead of users just adding the jobs, sitting there waiting for them to complete, going to the next job. So you can basically focus your resources on actually just looking at the output of the jobs, making sure the payroll is run correctly. It's going to increase productivity from your organization, greater data accuracy, being that you don't have to worry about jobs or these different parameters going in that aren't correct. Again, it's going to reduce your staff time, eliminate data errors, and it's a very quick deployment for organizations. So typical implementations are 3 to 4 weeks to do an implementation, depending if it's an S3 implementation or if it's a CloudSuite. CloudSuite's a lot faster, but again, very, very quick in its deployment. Some of our clients that have implemented it over the years are shown on the screen here, all with 100% referenceable. They love the product. The only reason any of the clients have ever gotten off the product is if they actually decide that they are going to leave the Infor ecosystem to a different ERP. So what we're doing, again, is this is a typical payroll in an S3 world, where you have to go to all these different Lawson jobs. You have to fill out the form, hit the submit button, wait for it to complete, look at your checklist, then once it's completed, look at the reports, making sure they look right, and then going to the next job. We have clients that run over 150 jobs to do a payroll in Lawson. And so what we did, instead of this is the Infor solution or Lawson solution, what we did is create a form that the user can fill out the information that's pertinent for the particular payroll. And then it goes through, adds each action or job to the system, runs it, goes it to completion, shows the different reports, and then it will stop on any job we want. We can specify jobs that we want to put breakpoints in for data validation before it goes to the next job. And again, making it very, very simple to run a payroll. Now, what you see on your screen right here is a payroll automation for GHR for CloudSuite. You can see here on our jobs, they're different. They're not the Lawson tokens. They are actually actions. So a time assigned task, impute the income, time record batch release, calculate overtime. So that's the terminology inside GHR. Now, if we look at a typical payroll automation for Lawson S3, you can see here, this is what this looks like. Again, entering just the information that is pertinent for that particular payroll, and then going to the next screen, and then you'll see it go through the completion of adding, submitting, and running those jobs, and displaying the reports in the report column. So you no longer have to go to the print manager. You can just click on this screen to get all your different reports. We've also developed what we call our payroll automation designer, and this allows clients to have autonomy over their automations, to be able to make changes to them moving forward after we deploy. So, and again, the designer, the original thought process of the designer was very similar to the IPA designer that Infor Lawson brings to the table. Just again, giving clients that autonomy moving forward, being able to modify, change, add new automations going forward as well. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go through a demonstration. And today, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go through a GHR payroll, a live demonstration. And then what we'll do is go through an S3 payroll. So you'll see on your screen is the payroll automation. But what I'm going to show first off, this is our Infor CloudSuite tenant. If I look here, if I look at time, batch time records, anyway, I can't get to the screen, but we have a bunch of time records in the system in a batch number 4, ready for payroll processing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to open up, for instance, this is the CloudSuite payroll automation, and you have different options of running it, the status history. We also have a scheduling component now. You can actually schedule when the automation is to begin. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually schedule this. Here's some automations that have already run, and then I'm going to go ahead and add another one. And I'm going to enter the information that is pertinent for that particular payroll. Select the pay schedule, the check date, select the period end date, and then I'm going to go ahead and schedule the run. I'm going to schedule it right now, and we're going to go ahead and kick this off in 2 minutes. And then where I want the notifications to go. All right. So now this has been added to the system right here. It's going to kick off here in about a minute. And so what I can do is, as a user, I can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and drill in here. And you can see this is the automation that's scheduled. So these are all the different actions that will run. And you'll see it begin its processing here in another minute. Go ahead and open up a new window. All right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this side by side because while this is running, I'm going to talk about the designer. All right, so on the left-hand side, we're going to see jobs start here in just a minute. And then what we're going to do is, while that's running, look at the designer. And on the designer product, what you can see is our ability to, you can put in as many automations as you want. You can define them. Then you can go through here. You can specify all the different fields that will show up on the screen. And these fields are either show up on the screen or they might store values to run in the different actions that will be running. Under the job setup, this is where you can actually specify the different actions that that the application is going to run, like accrue payroll, what the different fields are going to run in the application, how we're going to populate those fields. If it's going to be a variable that the user is going to input, it might be a hard value. So we're going to define those, all the different actions that will run. In the S3 world, we would define the jobs that would actually run, the actual job tokens. Jumping back to the other screen, you can see it's starting to run the process of the payroll. Down here, you can see from the printing of checks. Here we go. So on the printing of checks, similar to the PR160, the action is called printing checks. And so what we have is the starting and starting receipt and check number. We're going to automatically determine that in the application. The users don't have to actually put that, specify that. So real easy. Again, all in the premise of just making it so easy that the user does not only has to key in those parameters that will be changing on a per payroll basis. Once I define all the actions that will be running, then what we do is define the order that those actions will run. You can see in this screen, this is the order that the actions will run. I have to expand this out just a little bit. Yeah. So this is the order business class is going to run. Maybe if I want to run it on a certain condition, a certain action, I can do that as well. What basically all sorts of runtime criteria. I can also specify after each action is run, the print files that need to be created. So in GHR, you actually have to print off the reports. You actually have to say what you want to print off after each of the actions. In S3, it already creates those reports for you, very easy. So again, that's another nice win that we see from the GHR from the payroll automation product supporting GHR is the fact that we're creating all these reports for the user. They no longer have to go through that process of creating the reports. And then let me go through. You can see this one's going to take just one more minute to assign taxes. Also over here, you can see that we have a column that says user verify. So this is where we're actually specifying where do we want the application to stop and allow the user to verify before continuing on. So you can see we got to user verify after we release the time records, the batch time records. We also have the ability to, for instance, before a action is run, we have a pre-job function. So you see, like, we're going to go and get the bank file of the checks to go grab what the next receipt, next check numbers are going to be. So again, this is the order that the jobs will run in, or the actions will run in to complete this particular payroll. All right, jumping back to the actual running of the actual automation, you can see that we are pretty close to calculating the imputed income, and then we'll go through the rest of the process. So as a user, as other users in the system, they can actually click on the status screen to see things running. So if you have other people in the organization that want to see that payroll running, they can see it and they can have access to all those reports that would be generated as well in the system. So you can see right here, we've now finished the time record batch, but you can see that the reports are running. So it's actually creating those reports for us. So if that's a kind of a difference that you can see between the S3 product and or the Lawson S3 payroll is jobs when they're completed, the print files are actually created too. In GHR, the action might be completed, but the print files aren't created yet because you actually have to go create those. And so that's what our application is doing. It's actually creating those print files. So you can see right now we've created those two print files. They're completed. I could click on this. It's going to bring in the actual print file. Here's all the current time records that were added to the system. Everything looks good. And I'm going to hit continue. And it's going to go through and run this next action here. All right. It refreshes the screen every about 30 seconds. There we go. So you can see we can kick off IPAs in the application. So we could actually have a automation of just IPAs if we wanted, and it's going to go kick off the IPA, check when the IPA is completed, and then go to the next one. So right here now, with the step that we're on is calculating overtime. Shouldn't take too long. And then we're going to go through the process of locking the payroll, calculating payments, printing checks, and then closing out the payroll. So these two are completed, those reports. Again, the user can click right on those reports. They don't have to go. We've already created them for them. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue here. It's going to go through, lock that payroll. And again, for those of you that are on that haven't really seen a GHR payroll, it's probably not. I mean, it's somewhat similar to a payroll that's run in S3, but the difference is that you no longer have tokens anymore in GHR. They're all called actions. So. But again, it's the same premise of you have to go through all these different steps to complete a payroll, which is why our clients are really loving the payroll automation in the CloudSuite version as well. Again, our product has been around for a while, servicing many, many clients since 2003 in the S3 world. And we recently just moved this product, payroll automation, to GHR in the last 2 years. So as this is completing, what I'm going to do, and well, I was going to start my S3 payroll, but we'll wait a few more. We'll wait a few more minutes before we start that. All right, calculate the payments. I'm going to go ahead, look at the payments, make sure that they look good. So here's the payments. As a payroll processor, that looks great. And I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. Go through the process of printing checks, sending it to Ion, and then closing out the payroll. Jump to back to the scheduler on my other screen while this is running and just demonstrate a few other features of the application. So I can go back into the history. Here you can see, here's the schedule. So these are all completed. This one's running, you can see right now. I can go back into history. So I could say, oh, you know what? I want to see what happened in that particular payroll. So you can see in this particular payroll, it'll refresh, has all the different completions, all the reports that were run. Very nice so that you don't have to try to dive into that print manager to figure out where all those reports are for those payrolls that were actually run. All right. So while this is running, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my screen and we're going to actually go, for those of you that are on the call that are still on Infor's S3 product on the on-prem S3, I'm going to show our payroll automation. So. All right. So you should be able to see I got a remote desktop here. And what I'm going to do real quick on the portal, I'm just going to add some time records in the system so we can actually process a payroll. Again, this is our time record entry screen that we use to run payroll or get time records in the system, especially for our demonstrations. So I'm going to scroll down here. All right, I'm just going to key some hours in real fast. All right, and then what we're going to do is run that payroll. see a screen where I want to start. So I'm going to select the starting point at the top, continue. And it's going to go through the process of adding, running, and completing each action or each job. Now I'm back in the S3 world. So, and then what the user can do is click on any of these links. It's going to launch a new window to see the report. So you don't have to go to the print manager. Again, the parameters are all specified in the Payroll Automation Designer, and the values that the user might have keyed in on the top of the screen. Again, making it so easy to run a payroll. You're eliminating all the dead time between the jobs. And again, you can get a significant reduction in the amount of time that payroll takes for your organization. It's going to stop on, you can see this little blue bar here. It's going to stop on those breakpoints to allow for the user to validate that everything looks good before continuing on. But again, this is how simple payroll can be for organizations that implement. And also, you know, as we have a lot of turnover in the industry, especially with it being so fluid, with going from S3 to GHR to, you know, payroll people leaving, going to different ERPs, this significantly reduces the amount of training to actually run a payroll. All you have to do is tell them to key in the right parameters. And then all you have to do is tell them to focus on the reports. The reports coming out, making sure that everything looks good from calculations, from checks, from arrears. And so you're refocusing your resources on looking at the data versus, like, instead of looking at jobs and adding those jobs to the system and then going to the next checklist on your payroll checklist to go to the next item. Again, making it a lot easier for organizations to actually run a payroll. So I'm going to go ahead and hit everything looks good. I don't actually have, these are going to open up in Adobe. I don't have Adobe on this RDP server, so can't open those right now. But we're going to go ahead, say that everything looks good, and run through the rest of this payroll. I mean, you can see, like on the PR160, we're not asking when the next check number or receipt number it is. It already knows what the next receipt and check number are. Again, just little things to make it so much easier for completion of a payroll. But you can see here, we got 27 steps. You know, I didn't have a lot of time records in the system for this one, so it would have slowed it down drastically if I put a lot of time records in the system. But again, this is how fast a payroll could be. All right. So what I'm going to do now is show real quick the Payroll Automation Designer in the S3 world. Looks somewhat similar. So let me share that screen. All right. Back to my original screen here. You can see that that job, that payroll is now completed that we did in GHR. And what I'm going to do now, as my S3 payroll is completing, So you can see here's a bunch of payrolls that we've done. If I look at, for instance, let's look at this one. Make this a little bit bigger for y'all. All right. So we have is basically what we're going to allow the user to key in. You got, check date, period end date, start date, period number, different items that the user would key in. Sometimes the values, we're actually storing them as actually values. The users aren't keying stuff in, but we have to store things in the application. But this, we're actually defining what's going to be on those screens, And then what we do is specify, not that one. Let's go, specify what jobs will actually run, what jobs will actually run. Again, the fields that will be used, how we're going to populate that field with what type of value, if it's going to be a string, if it's going to be a variable, what the users are going to key in. You can see I'm going to jump down to the PR160 here. PR160, a lot of different variations of variables and strings that we're going to be populating on that particular job. You can see here we're starting check number. We're going to grab the next payment number, the next direct deposit check number or receipt number in the system. The users don't have to do that again. So we're going to define each of the different jobs that will run. And then what we're going to do is specify the order that they will be run in. So this is the order that they're going to be run in. We can actually run a job on a certain condition or conditional variable and a value. If it meets that criteria, we'll run it. We can run, we don't actually have to run a job. We can run scripts. We can run IPA flows from here as well. You can see here, we're verifying the PR00 for completion. So we're making sure, hey, did everything look good on the PR00 before it continues on? You can see here, I'm jumping down to like the PR195, last monthly payroll. If it's a yes, we're going to run it. So we specify, if as you specify the period end date, we know if it's a last payroll, last monthly payroll, we're going to run those accrual programs automatically. Scrolling over a little bit, I'm going to specify the different print files that will come out on the screen as they're completed for the user. Scrolling a little bit farther over, I'm going to specify, do I want the user to verify something after the job is completed? If it's yes, it's going to stop and allow the user to verify and then continue on. You can see here on the PR160, I'm going to go grab the bank file, populate that receipt, check number prior to populating that PR160. We can also do all sorts of what we call post calls. So like on this post call, what we're doing is we're actually sending an email out to the users, letting them know, hey, we're processing a payroll. Another email that's going out. We can actually also do analysis on some of the jobs that are being run. So for instance, jump back here. So on these ones, you can see, for instance, this PR135, we're going to do an analysis. We're going to pull that PR135 and we're going to go grab what the totals are on that PR135. So we're going to grab that total. We're going to store that total. And then we're going to do a check to make sure, hey, does the PR140 and the PR135 reconcile? So that's something that is nice with the S3 product is you can actually do some analysis on the actual PRT files to do what a payroll processor might do, seeing if stuff reconciles before continuing on. That's the product as it is, the Job Automation Designer, servicing the S3 on-prem Lawson product for payroll automation. I'm going to jump back here. Right. So my S3 payroll, stop sharing, and then I go ahead and share that screen. You can see that that the application, that the automation is now complete, and all the print files are shown, the steps, and then I can go back in history and look at this if I want to. But again, very, very easy for our clients to run payroll moving forward with this product. And like I said, we have a 100% referenceable list. Every single client that has ever implemented this product absolutely loves it, and gotten really great reviews. And now that it's in GHR, we're getting the same feedback of how valuable and how much time it actually saves our clients, and errors, preventing those errors that are happening. All right. So with that, let's see, we got about 11:37. I can answer any questions that you might have. Chandra, do you see the questions in your list?
I do, yeah, we've got a few.
Okay.
The first one is, if an error occurs on one of the automated jobs, will the system stop and alert the payroll team before proceeding?
Yes. So that is a yes. It'll actually stop. It'll say error right here. And then at that point, you have to go through and troubleshoot it from an Infor or a Lawson standpoint where the error is. And then you can restart the automation up from that starting point.
Great, okay. Can you do this type of post-call analysis on GHR automation?
We are working on that post-call analysis. That is not released yet. But yeah, it is in the works.
Great. Let's see here. Is there an easy way to automate saving the completed jobs?
Automating the saving jobs. I am so sorry. I don't know what that question means. Automate the saving jobs. I'd have to get more detail on that question, Chandra. I don't know what you're trying to save the jobs, because we're saving them on the system. So,
somebody else chimed in, and I think that this is in relation, saving PDFs in other locations.
oh, thank you so much. All right. Yes. Yes. So we can actually archive off. So on the S3 world, we have on a post call. So if you look at the application on the post calls, we have an archive function, and it'll actually save off the jobs wherever we want to save them. As long as if you're working on a AIX server, I mean, it just has to be a mounted drive that we're trying to move the file to, or if it's a Windows server, it just has to be a networked drive on it. So, but yeah, that functionality does exist in the post calls in the actually S3 payroll automation.
All right, great. And we've got another one here. We use PMA, time entry, and Lawson for actual payroll processing. Would this tool work with such a configuration? So using Lawson for payroll and another system for time entry.
Yes. So you're going to bring those time records into the system, into the Infor Lawson system. So you're going to be running like a PR 530. And so those would be jobs that would be added at the very beginning, bringing those time records into the system to actually run the payroll. But yes, it's very similar to as if you were using Kronos or any of the other things. I actually keyed in time into our system because we don't have a demo Kronos system or anything. So we just key the time for us. But yeah, PR 530s would be added to the beginning of the payroll to actually bring those time records in for processing.
All right, and I think we might have mentioned something at the beginning, but what is a typical implementation timeline
Yeah,
for,
we've
sorry,
seen
this
it
was
about,
for version 10,
yeah.
but I think for either way.
Yeah, so it's been about 3 to 4 weeks to do an implementation. And that is really dependent upon our client's speed of testing, really. We can deploy pretty quick um, our application, but then going through and running payrolls one after the other, and then having the clients run those because they're each client, they're actually doing their own daily job as well. So for them to actually run a payroll on the side to test to see if everything's right, it might delay the project. But again, what we've seen is really 3 to 4 weeks.
All right. Does IT need to be involved with modifications to automations, or can the payroll team take care of it on their own?
The payroll team can actually do it. So we have not encountered a lot of clients where the IT team is making changes to the automations. So yeah, that's why we really made the payroll automation designer, is to allow those payroll processors to actually make changes, add a new job, to the system, you know, and add those fields, or maybe just change a value that might, you have an MSP that comes through that requires a new field in one of the jobs. You can do that yourself. So
All right, we've got another one. Is the saving of PDF or Excel reports to a network drive automated for GHR automation as well?
no, GHR, those reports are being saved on, in the cloud. And so we don't really have a mechanism of moving documents from the cloud to an on-prem system today. So that really hasn't been. We haven't had a lot of clients ask for that as a need. If more and more clients do, we might figure out that there might be some way to actually do it in the future. But again, right now, that's not something that we are doing for GHR.
All right, we've got another, I think, on-prem. Does anything need to be modified with the core Lawson system, or is this truly a bolt-on product?
On the core Lawson system, we do need to add on the on-prem. We do add 3 new tables and 3 new forms. They're custom forms inside of the Lawson environment to store the automations. So that's all but nothing is, we don't have to actually change anything inside, like literally no tokens, no modifying any tokens, that the existing vanilla tokens or anything like that. But yes, we do have to add 3 new tables and forms to the system for the S3 on-prem product. In GHR, it is 100% bolt-on. There is no modifications at all to the system.
What other automations might companies use this tool for? Accounts payable processing?
Yes. So what we found is a lot of clients use it. The second largest population of clients that use this product is for AP processing. So as you're running those 4 or 5 jobs and you're running them with different scenarios, different parameters for each one, our clients are, they do the AP processing with it as well. So.
And is there a separate implementation for that, or is it?
It's a separate implementation, but not a separate cost. So you
Right.
buy the product, you license the product, it's yours for the environment. You can build as many automations as you want. However, if we're going to do an implementation, we're going to actually build a new automation. That is a service. That's a service that we can provide. We usually build the first automations for our clients, and then they usually take those and maybe make copies and learn from what we've done, and build their own going forward.
Okay. Are there specific areas currently being developed to enhance the current GHR payroll automation?
Is there certain areas? So we just released our product, our GHR our Intellias Payroll Automation to GHR. So we are continually adding functionality to it. We just released the whole scheduling functionality where it actually schedules when it runs now. You can either run it on demand, like literally just run it from the browser, and hit continue and it'll start running, or you can schedule it out. That is one functionality we just finished. Another things that we are looking at in the near future is the analysis of the actual reports, pulling out key values out of those reports. That is in the works, but it's not yet finished. So it's in future releases.
And something I'll add to that, a lot of all of our products are built out of a need from using it, identifying that need, and then getting feedback from our customers. So if there's something that you guys see and you bring it to us and it's something we're hearing a lot, Chad's usually pretty open to integrating that. If we move from S3 on-prem to cloud, would we migrate our current configuration, or would we have to set this up new since CloudSuite GHR payroll is so different from S3?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's the latter. It's a new implementation. You can't just copy S3 to move it into GHR. So, but yeah, so it is a new implementation.
All right, good questions, everyone. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we do appreciate all of your interaction this morning. If you have follow-up questions, or if you'd like to sit down with us and really talk about your specific setup and use cases, we are happy to do a one-on-one demo with you and walk through any questions you may have. We will be sending out the recording of this as soon as it's posted, and we can go from there. Like I said, any questions or one-on-one demo you'd like to do, we're here for you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you for joining. Great questions today. Have a great day.